Now, if you search and read through the countless parenting blogs and articles, you may be forgiven for feeling that as a parent, you can do nothing right. While raising kids has become even more complex in this digital age, according to experts at Dubai's Camali clinic, the fundamentals of providing a positive environment for children to flourish remain the same. Many would say that parenting today is a lot different from parenting a couple of decades ago. And as society evolves, so too does the dynamics between parent and child. So what are the main challenges of parenting today?
So we have a parenting workshop that we do here at Camali, and the first thing that we start with is, what are your challenges as parents? And the number one thing that keeps coming up is time. Especially here in Dubai, time is a very precious commodity. Our schedules are full. A lot of the times, Dubai and even other places in the world are becoming more and more expensive. It's not enough for one partner to work. Both parents need to work, so we've got a working mom and a working dad. We've got schools, we've got activities, we've got a household to run. So we're always running around, and time is very precious. So I find that also Dubai is very competitive in terms of academics and in terms of filling the schedules of kids with so many activities and so many sports. We want to always do the best. We're reading so many different research coming from so many different sources, and we just want to be, the best mom, the best dad, doing the best that we can. So it's very stressful. We live in a very stressful time to do with parenting, and it's very challenging to feel confident that you're doing the best that you can do.
Most adults are of the opinion that children today are more advanced and mature than kids decades ago. Traditionally, we saw one parent in the labour force and one as the homemaker, but these traditional roles have changed significantly over the years. So how is this influencing the upbringing of our children? And what does the term family time mean today?
What's happening nowadays is that we've got, as you said, two parents in the labor force, two parents involved, and then both parents also want to be involved in parenting, which is excellent. You also touched upon something very important, is that we feel that children are more mature, becoming more mature than their age. Than 20 years ago, for example, a 5-year-old is very different than a 5-year-old today. We're seeing that academically, they're becoming more advanced. So they're reading earlier, they're knowing maths earlier, and we all think that this is great, but the thing is that this is taking away from play. And play is something really important for children. In Finland, for example, this is something that's come in the news recently, how children in Finland are getting the best test scores in their SATs, their SATs, but they only get 3 hours of schooling a day. And the rest of their time they spend in play. They get no homework whatsoever. And this is because this is what children are supposed to be doing. And although as a society we think as play as something important and something trivial, or we always use the term child's play as something being silly, but actually children learn best through play. They learn fine motor skills, gross motor skills, imaginative play, problem-solving skills, independence, self-confidence. They don't learn that through arithmetics and mathematics and phonics, as important as these are. I'm not discrediting how important these are. But we are overemphasizing academics. So we are seeing that children are becoming more mature academically, and because they're exposed to media at a very young age, sometimes without any parental kind of guidance, they get exposed to videos, to movies, to concepts that, a 5-year-old shouldn't, come to you asking, "Mommy, what does it mean to have a boyfriend?" It's too soon but they are, because, they're exposed to all these different kind of videos, movies, etc. So I think this is what's happening to this generation.
In your professional opinion, do parents have unrealistic expectations about their children today?
I mean, we want to do it right. and we have every right to, we want to read the research, we have science now, we want to do it differently, we want to get, and raise our kids to the best standards and the best schools. And of course it's every right as a parent, but with this comes anxiety, with this comes a lot of stress, and this stress is not going to go away. It's going to project on your kids. They're going to feel the stress. Because we have agendas, and these agendas are very tightly knit, it's going to become a very stressful parenting experience for you. And I see that a lot here and everywhere in the world. It's that, we want this kind of perfect image. And sometimes we need to kind of sit back and relax and see our children take their form and do more of mindful parenting rather than kind of a strict kind of agenda-driven parenting that we find sometimes, where at the end of the day it's just going to create kind of a very stressful relationship between mom and child, where we sometimes see misbehavior, kind of negative kind of behaviors coming up, tantruming, defiant behavior.
Welcome back. Technology has very much become a part of our daily lives. As society becomes more dependent on gadgets and smartphones, so too do our children, with kids as young as 3 becoming addicted to these technologies. And of course, there is the use of the internet. Many parents are now struggling to minimize the use of these gadgets. So how many hours on average are we seeing children using computers and smart devices daily? And while parents often fear the negative influence of these technologies, is it necessarily a bad thing that our children are fluent in the use of these smart gadgets?
So the American Pediatric Association recommends that any child under 2 of age gets 0 time of technology. That includes mobile, iPad, and computer. 0. This is because their brain is being formed. So a human baby gets born with their brain not fully formed. So their brain from 0 to 7 is being formed, and from 0 to 2 is a very critical stage. If they get this exposure to electronics day in, day out, it can really hurt how these synapses are formed in their brain. And that means that they might have difficulties with social interaction, fine motor skills, they might have behavioral issues, attention and focus. Nothing in the world is as interesting as an iPad. I cannot compete as a teacher, as a therapist, with how interesting and how stimulating an iPad can be. So this will decrease your toddler's attention as well. He will be like, oh, mommy, no, that's more interesting. And he has a right. It's just more entertaining. So before 2, 0 hours. And sadly, that's not what we see. I go to restaurants and I see toddlers on iPads for an hour, and I don't blame parents. They just want to have a moment of peace, and it's just very easy and it's fascinating and it takes all their attention, but it is harming for your child. After the age of 2, it is recommended from the age of 3 till the age of 7 that the child only gets 2 hours of electronic TV plus mobile as well. I say mobile because I see kids carrying it all over when they go out. So 2 hours of that. And that is not to make your life harder, but that is because if a child has a certain number of hours a day, okay, and in these numbers of hours he needs to train on social skills, on play skills, on fine motor skills, on gross motor skills, and on academic skills. But if we spend most of our time on electronics, we're taking away from all that, and we're doing one thing only. Sometimes academics. A lot of moms tell me, but he knows the ABCs. Well, that's not communication to me. That's academics. He'll learn that in school, and that's actually very easy to learn. What's more complex to learn is social interaction, problem solving, fine motor, gross motor, how to run, how to climb, how to get the ant out of the stone, and he won't learn that from electronics. So the more time he spends on electronics, the less time he has practicing those real life skills that nowadays we're seeing less and less of, unfortunately.
And how can we safeguard our children against the negative influences of these technologies?
So safeguarding is very important, and it's different at each age. There are certain things that I'm scared of technology. One being the time spent, and I just said why. The second is the exposure to content that is very inappropriate. We see a lot of this in our clinic. We see children who have been groomed online. We see children who have been sexually molested. Teenage girls who go on and see and meet other men. They don't know that. When you're a teenage girl, you're forming your image about yourself. Anyone who says anything positive to you is going to take your attention. She does not know that. So there are so many things that are scary online. That's why parents need to be extra careful on their supervision. Also, the types of games that your child is watching. Some children have open access. They have their parents' credit cards as young as 7, and they can buy as many games. That's very dangerous because you don't know what are the games. Some of those games are also been listed to child molesters. So you don't know the access. The internet is somewhere. I don't want to scare parents, but at the same time, we have to be very weary of what our children are doing in their spare time. So these are these are the things that are scary about technology.
Now, finally, the Camali Clinic offers a parent training program that focuses on strengthening interactions and nurturing relationships. What are the main objectives of this program and who is it directed towards?
So our parenting program is directed to any parent. This program is called the Carolyn Webster Stratton program, and it's been in the States for 20 years. It's based on years and years of research, and now it's government funded because it's been so popular and the results have been amazing. And we decided to bring it over to Dubai just because we felt that there was a huge need by parents to kind of understand the how-to. They always tell me, we've studied so many years to be able to do our jobs, but we're expected to know what to do as parents. Congratulations, you're a mom. Now you're expected to know how to raise. And now there's science, there's research that shows you what are the best practices. So they want to learn. Parents want to learn what is the best practice to get a child who's self-confident, who has empathy, who's emotionally intelligent, who's also smart, so without harming the child. Some parents come to me because their children are exhibiting some negative behaviors, misbehaviors. Academically, they're not doing well, their self-confidence is low, they have anxiety. So we might also refer them to this parenting program, but a lot of parents just come because they need their one-on-one of parenting, of how to. And it basically concentrates a lot on how to build a positive relationship with your child. So what happens is a lot of the time as parents, we fall into the trap. We feel like we're policing our children the whole time. So the whole time we're like, pick this up, put your shoes on, come here. So the whole time you feel like you're a policewoman. And then when you have the chance, you build a relationship, you have quality time with your child. So what this program does, it helps you understand how to flip it so that most of your time you are building a positive relationship with your child. You have a very strong, solid foundation, and then very rarely do you find yourself a policewoman who is giving consequences, removing privileges from your child, doing something that you might feel will negatively affect your relationship. So if you have a strong foundation, you won't need to use these methods like timeout, consequences, loss of privilege, which we go into. We teach parents how, but we teach the foundation first.
That brings us to the end of our program. If you'd like to know more about any of the stories you have seen tonight, you can contact us at UAE Weekly at city7tv.com or by calling us on 04367 2230. From myself and the entire team, have a great week ahead.